was happening on another 9/11 at this very summit meeting. It was also a summit meeting day. How many years ago was it? 9/11? 11 years ago. Anyway, this was a day like this, a bright, gorgeous September day. We have another exciting day today, though. Fortunately, not at all in that realm of activities, however. We have a very exciting speaker, and I just want to say a few words before we do that. But before we even do that, I want to go around, as is our custom, and have everybody introduce themselves. Our speaker can see the range of people that are in the audience. Introduce yourself and the organization that you're with, if you're with the organization, and if you're just a citizen, not only just a citizen, but if you are a citizen, of which of the three communities that we represent. Identify that too, please. Thanks. Elaine Chapnick from Larchmont, president of the local summit.
Good morning, I'm involved with Mental Health.
Right in the center of it, right in the center.
I'm involved with Mental Health Association as a volunteer in the foster care system, and have just joined Celebrity Salons for Western Community College.
Hi, Susan Anlin from Larchmont, and I'm from St. John's Outreach in Pepper Park.
Marie Mackey in the town, higher education over the town.
Hi, Caroline Buddy with Changing Places.
Polynesian and Changing Places as well.
Judy Gabra from Kansas.
I'll shake her voice just for a change. Good morning, Dr. Hankin. Keith Yais of Mamaroneck Public Schools Summit Board.
Good morning, Ann McAndrews, Mayor of the Village of Larchmont, member of the Summit Board.
Kate Francis Richards, Summit Board, Washington Housing Alliance, Mamaroneck Larchmont Human Rights Committee.
Elizabeth Steiner, Summit Board, and various.
Doreen Fischel, Summit Board.
Susan Riley, the Mamaroneck Public Library.
John Bradley, Larchmont Summit Board, and at home on the Sound.
Judy Myers, Westchester County Legislator.
John Gitlitz, Summit Board, Village of Mamaroneck, Purchase College, and Hispanic Resource Center.
Jeffrey Winner, Hispanic Resource Center.
Luis Quiroz, social worker, community activist, professor, and author, and I represent the Latino community.
I'm Gisela Marroquin. I'm the director of the Mamaroneck Community Action Program.
Good morning, Debbie Minetta, Director of Public Information for Mamaroneck Schools.
Rena Dieter, Council. Lynette C., Summit Board.
Amy Barrett, Summit Board, Women's Club, Interfaith, and Taker of Your Money Today.
Lynn Reichgott, president of At Home on the Sound, and on the board of the CAP Center.
I'm Richard Allen, the pastor at Mamaroneck United Methodist Church, and I'm on the Summit Board as well.
Nancy Gardner, I'm the Director of Volunteers for the College Information Center at the high school.
I'm Melinda Lehman, the president of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force and the Summit Board. Sabrina Fiddleman, Summit Board member.
Jane Heaney, Councilwoman, Town of Mamaroneck.
Ashley Helms, the Sound and Town Report.
Harold Wolfson, Larchmont Local Summit Board.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And don't forget to give your $8 to Mary Lee for today's breakfast. Thank you. Today, the highest rates of unemployment are among those with the least amount of education. This comes at a time when the cost of post-secondary education, those costs are higher than ever. To fill this increased need at reasonable cost, community colleges around the country have greatly expanded. Today, we're going to hear about these expanded roles that community colleges now are playing in the higher education need. Judy, will you introduce our speaker?
Director. Good morning, everybody. I am very, very pleased to have with us today Dr. Joe Hankin, who is the president of Westchester Community College. I have had the privilege of knowing and working with Dr. Hankin over the past 7 years because Westchester County is actually one of the approvers of the Westchester County, of the Westchester Community College budget and helps to fund the college through the SUNY system. What has amazed me most about this community college is not only the fact that it feels like a college. I don't know how many of you have driven up there or have attended events there or have even attended classes there. But this is the most amazing school that sort of rises up in Valhalla and you realize, oh my gosh, why have I never been here before? And this college has gained national prominence, largely due to the efforts, and some of us think solely due to the efforts of Dr. Hankin, who has been with the college for many, many years. He was born and educated in New York, attended New York City public and secondary schools, and went through the City College of New York, as well as Columbia University's Graduate Faculties and Teachers College, where respectively he earned a Master's of Art and Doctor of Education degrees in History and in the Administration of Higher Education. He is taught at the collegiate level at the City University of New York from 62 to 65 as an occasional lecturer and then as an adjunct associate and full professor at Teachers College, Columbia University. He began full-time administration in 1965 and has served in the capacity of on the Board of Trustees and as president of Westchester Community College since 1971 and has brought it to the prominence with which it is regarded today. So I would like to turn this over to Dr. Hankin to talk to us about the community college and the role that it plays in Westchester County, and we will also allow time for questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Myers. What an impressive group you are. I'm going to spend about less than 10 minutes giving an overview of certain things and then open it up for questions and answers, because I found over the years that you're more interested in what you're more interested in than what I have to say, so I can adapt to that. The college was founded as a matter of public policy in 1946 for GIs who were coming back from the Second World War, and they needed some kind of marketable skills, so it was largely occupationally oriented. Since then, its philosophy has metamorphosized into three major things. The first 2 years of a regular education at a four-year college, occupational programs, about which I'll speak in a few moments a little bit more, and continuing education for those people who are already in the workforce or even at home. I've given some brochures. Sorry I didn't have enough to go around. I try to have you share as much as possible, but there's some empty seats, so if some of you are lacking, you can pick those up before you leave. The student body, very diverse. When I first came, there were 5,200 students at Westchester Community College, which made it the largest college in the county. Last year, we served fall, spring, summer, without duplication, credit and non-credit, 35,900 different individuals and classes. So it's really boomed. Thanks to the support of the local legislature and the executive branch and the State University of New York, we've been able to bring education out closer to where people are. Last semester, we're in a new semester now, but I haven't counted yet, so I'll have to say last semester, we offered classes at 103 different locations around the county. Not only in Valhalla, by the way, we couldn't park all the cars in Valhalla. As it is, every day we have 300 illegally parked cars. And we have 3,200 spaces, so it's... But I lost my train of thought here.
Size of the campus. Size of the
Oh yeah, okay, right. Not only do we offer classes on the campus, but we offer classes at an old Sears store in Mount Vernon, an old Woolworth store in Peekskill, the Cross County Shopping Center, the county center itself, an old beer distributorship in Ossining, where we have renovated the facilities and built out into the cost of the rent for the semester, or the year actually. We also offer classes at various schools like Somers High School and Roosevelt High School, and senior citizen centers where people can't go out, we go in. We often offer those classes free of charge. And our graduates can continue their education in almost any college in America. We've had students go to Harvard, Wharton, Cornell, Columbia, Smith, Sarah Lawrence. I'm just thinking this past graduating class in May, we have students who, 6 went to Cornell, 6 went to Columbia. Some of them got as much as $24,000 in financial aid. So it's been a wonderful opportunity for students who otherwise could not have gotten into those institutions to begin with, to be frank with you. What do they study? Well, they study everything from liberal arts, math, science, liberal arts, social science, liberal arts, humanities, and then all of the occupational programs as well. Registered nursing. For example, there are 99 programs of nursing in New York State. There are master's degree programs, bachelor's degree programs, associate degree programs like ours, and even a few hospital-based programs. When our students take the state boards, every year, continuously, they get within the top 10% of the takers in New York State. You cannot go to a hospital in Westchester County without encountering one of our graduates. Respiratory therapy, radiologic technology, nobody else offers those programs. The hospitals came to us recently, I say recently, the last 3 or 4 years, and said, we really need surgical technicians, operating room technicians. Can you design a program for us? So we sent a team in and they designed it, and it's been fine. It's a non-credit program. We don't give credit yet for it, but that's the way the paralegal program started as well. An emergency medical services program started as well. On a non-credit basis, when they prove themselves, then we turn them into credit-bearing, fully accredited programs. The third wing, after transfer and occupational, is continuing education. We have the largest continuing education program in the state of New York among the 30 community colleges. It's just a matter of our philosophy has been to try to offer courses that people like, and you have some of those in front of you. For example, for older students, if you have that yellow brochure in front of you, there are courses like Critical Moments in American History, Yeats and Other Greats, Short Story Encore, and so on. You'll see a lot of them are fascinating. I wish I could take some of them myself, to be honest with you. Physical facilities I've already told you about. We have about 750,000 square feet on the Valhalla campus. And when we look at ourselves in comparison to the other community colleges of the State University of New York, we were 30th out of 30 in the amount of space per full-time equivalent student, until we started renting space, as I mentioned, and we're the biggest renter in the state. That makes us 29th out of 30. We opened a 70,000 square foot building 2 years ago, which is a gem of a building. It's already won 8 architectural awards, and that makes us 28th out of 30. So we're moving in the right direction, but we're far from reaching. We've reached Valhalla, but we're far from reaching Nirvana. And then finally, let me say a little something about costs, because all of you are taxpayers and you're interested in knowing what it costs. Westchester County pays about 22% of the total cost. By the way, our cost per student is among the lowest among community colleges in the state university. 22% from the county, 27% from the state. I should tell you that the original theory was that it would be 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 from the county, 1/3 from the state, 1/3 from the student. We've never achieved that, unfortunately. So the state and county together totals 49%. Student tuition totals 49%. It's $4,280 for a resident of Westchester County or any other county, as long as they have a certificate of residence from those counties, because we charge back to those counties the difference in price. And the other 2% is from interest income and chargebacks from other counties and so on. So let me stop there, and I'll get a lot more in the answers to the questions that you might have. So who wants to ask the second question? The first one's always so hard. Yes, Louis.
Hi, Joe, always a pleasure seeing you. We go back many years in the riots of the open enrollment and Boston Community College, Bronx Community College. And I have found, and the civil rights movement, I have found the knowledge that you and I work together with priceless as it comes to understanding the issues here in Westchester. Immensely priceless, because sometimes I disconnect with people who have a different foundation. What do you feel is the difference that we had then that we need here today? I know, what's right is supposed to be right, but what can we take from the past in those years, those critical years, that's missing today?
We need the same kind of attention today as we needed then. I wouldn't say we need anything different. We just need more intensity in terms of attention.
Good work.
Yeah. Good work.
Elaborate on that. What? Attention to what? Can you explain
Intensity.
to everybody?
Yeah, you tell.
The intensity that more people were involved in the action and we were more unified and issues of race were always evident like they are today, but we connected with the common denominator of working for others, not just ourselves.
You mean including a broad base of student body? Is that
Yes,
what we're talking
right.
about?
I think a lot of institutions talk about diversifying their student body, but we do something about it. More than half of our students are members of protected minority groups: African American, Hispanic, Asian, even some Native Americans. I always laugh about Native Americans. I don't think we have 96 Native Americans, but they might look at the chart and say, Native American, oh, I was born in America, I must be a Native American. I'm not sure how it happens, but we do have it. Yes, sir.
Do you have a program for bringing in or helping and assisting new immigrants in the country?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. You're from Purchase College also, among others. Okay.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Our commitment to immigrants, what is it? There's a community college consortium for immigrant education which is housed on our campus. It consists of, so far, 21 members around the country who have evidenced best practices in attracting immigrants. People don't realize it. In Westchester County in the year 2000 census, 22% out of every 100 residents were born in another country. In the 2010 census, which figures, I have not seen the official figures yet, but I'm told it's 25 out of 100. In our student body, it's 27.5% of the student body were born in another country. In the last 11 years, we educated 45,000 students in English as a second language. And the Gateway building is good evidence of that. What we want to do is we want to give them English as a second language, move them into citizenship, and into some kind of gainful employment. So in that building alone, for example, we have entrepreneurial business, international business, fashion design, things that immigrants have told us they are interested in studying. So that, in a nutshell, is our commitment to immigrants. Yes, ma'am.
Has the downturn in the economy impacted your attendance or your enrollment in any way?
We're actually counter-cyclical. Whenever the economy is bad, people go back for more education, so our enrollment increases. So we had last year the second highest increase ever. We're not finished enrolling this year, but we're fairly close to that. So I would say no, it hasn't negatively impacted us. Yes, Sabrina.
Can I just follow up on that? And is it mostly retraining, the increase in students, or is it people that are...
It's everything. It's everything. You name it, every single category has increased. Yes?
I'd like you, Doctor, to get on a soapbox for a minute or two and talk a little bit about the general importance of public education today, at a time when private college tuitions are going through the roof, and many students that going to college are burdened by tremendous loans What's the role and future of public education?
For those of you who may not have heard, the question is about the price of education and how it impacts, let's say, Westchester.
What is the role of public education today and in the future?
If it weren't for public education, I would not be standing here today. My parents couldn't afford to send me to any private institution. My brother, my sister, and I are all beneficiaries of a tuition-free city college education. Nowadays they charge, but it's still relatively low. But you'd be surprised, the tuition at our place is $4,280 for a year. That doesn't sound like a lot of money, but I have students come into my office frequently saying, I'm going to take the spring semester off so that I can earn money so I can come back next fall. And I'm not always sure that they do. It's unfortunate, but now you talk about debt. The hot issue today is proprietary institutions, for-profit institutions that charge a lot of money, that don't necessarily deliver the education that they've promised, and saddle the student with burdens of debt that you would find unbelievable, sometimes over $100,000. They can't pay it back over their lifetime, as a matter of fact. There was a quote in the New York Times over the weekend that if you're saddled with that kind of debt, you either pay it off or you die with it, which is callous and unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So I feel that it's important to have a strong system of public education. In higher education in America, 80% of the students go to public institutions and 20% to private institutions. The image of college going is not that way, as you know. Yes?
I'd like to ask about three things, but it's all related. Admissions, retention, and attrition. You know, how many, what the rates are and how well you keep it.
If we were a hospital that admitted only well patients, our cure rate would be very high. It's not that way. If the person is living, breathing, and so on, we take a chance on them. And you'd be surprised over the years what a big difference that has made. Students who otherwise would not have contributed to society do so because they got their education, because we were open door, because we found financial aid. We have Pell, which is federal financial aid, TAP, which is state financial aid, and even our own foundation gives scholarships to the tune of about $40 million a year. That still only meets 65% of the need. 35% of the need is unmet, and a lot of those students don't go. Now, do they persist, is the question that you're asking. We give people an opportunity to learn. We give them remediation when they need it. By the way, 6 out of every 10 students who come to us need remediation, which is a comment about some of the public schools that they're attending. We have had a variety of programs over the years with, for example, the Operation Bridge program, which your member has been very prominent in. And we find that those programs work. When given special attention to the individual, they rise to the occasion very often. But then there are those who don't participate in those programs, who don't take advantage of the tutoring and the remediation, and they fall by the wayside. So the success rate for our college in comparison to the other SUNY community colleges is about 56%. 56% of the students who start in any one given year will either graduate in 3 years with a degree, or continue their education at other institutions, or continue at our institution. You'd be surprised how many people. I mean, the record was the postmaster of Valhalla, who took 26 years to graduate. Yes?
Would like to go back a little bit about the students who don't have access to financial aid, undocumented immigrants. And we're talking a lot about financial aid and, you know, the cost of college. I assist a lot of students who are in a situation where they do have to pay out of pocket because there is no access. So what are other options? I mean, I've been back and forth to your campus the last couple of weeks trying to get them registered, and it's a little, I mean, it's a greater challenge for them. So I wanted to know what other access they have or what other plans, you know, the school could offer the students.
There are work-study programs if they're eligible. There are, we have a job and career center which has listed some years as much as 4,000 different jobs in it around the county. But you're right in pinpointing a major reason why individuals don't get a higher education. You know, I want to show you something. We get charts like these on a regular basis. If you come from the top quartile, I'll read it in a minute.
Here, I'll
If you come from the top quartile, if you come from the top quartile of income, you're 8 times more likely to get a baccalaureate degree than if you come from the bottom quarter of income. This shows the net worth of households with just a no high school earns $7,270 annually. High school graduate only, $42,200. I'll just round numbers. Some college, 43. Associate degree from community colleges, 58,000 family income. Bachelor's degree, 142,000, and graduate and professional degrees, 245,000. Thank you. So it pays to go on for more education. I don't know how I got down that highway.
If I could just do a follow-up
Since I brought the chart, I figured I'd use it.
It was great. If you could, another follow-up question, you talked about 6 out of 10 students attending remedial courses.
Yes.
And the population that I was referring to, an undocumented student who has to pay out of pocket, doesn't have access to financial aid, and has to take these remedial courses. Is there any assistance for that particular population? Because I think it is a rising population that even with these, with the new policy, by President Obama, there are still students that don't qualify.
I'm telling you that we are committed to educate as many individuals like that as possible, but that we don't have enough money to do it all. And society hasn't either. Since 1980, 38 states have gone backward in their support for higher education. They're actually disinvested in higher education. New York State is among them. We lost about $500 per full-time equivalent student in aid over the last 3 years. They finally reversed themselves this year and gave us $150 per full-time student, but we're still $9 million behind in state payment, which shows that, the commitment that Lewis pointed out of the 70s is not with us anymore. That started in 1980, that downward slide. Yes. There are three people in the booth and 3 questions. I say there are 3 people in that booth and there are 3 hands went up. Okay. Seize the day.
I want to put a very soft plug in because I think community college is doing the work in solar certification, green building certification. Don't you have the green building institute?
Yes, we do.
Also on the other end of this professional development, it's very innovative.
Our latest building, by the way, has gold LEED certification, which is very difficult to achieve, but we started from the very beginning saying we wanted to get at least LEED certification, and we got gold in the booth.
The question is a statement first. Thank you, first and foremost, because I met you earlier when we had a program called, you mentioned the College Bridge Program that instituted there, and that you weren't waiting for the kids to get to the college ranks. You came down to speak to our parents, middle school parents, to institute a program that would, boosted the kids to go from 9th grade, start to being interested in the colleges. So you weren't promoting Westchester Community College, you were promoting higher education. So thank you for that. The other question is, how do we get our governor, because when you came in, we had a governor who just really looked at the California state program and said, well, the New York State SUNY program should be great, which is Governor Rockefeller. But today, as you said, states have retracted their interest in public education. How do we as a citizenry try to encourage our present governor?
everybody's looking for government assistance for a variety of things, and you can ask Judy about that. It's difficult, right? Or not, right? It's difficult to provide everything through the public coffers. The philosophy today seems to be those who are going to benefit ought to pay for the cost. That was pre-60s thinking, and it's back again. That's about all I really have to say about that. Yes, ma'am.
If you were looking now and could have some impact on high school curriculums, is there anything that you would like to see done differently in our wealthier districts or less wealthy districts?
It has to start in the middle school, actually. My wife is a school superintendent. She would be the first to tell you that if you don't start early, and let's face it, the family gives a big advantage to a lot of students. I know we were reading to our kids when they were still in utero. And when they come prepared for kindergarten and they're eager to learn, I see that with my 9 grandchildren. They're really getting lots of extra attention and help, and they're good readers, and they read 30 minutes a day and that sort of thing. So it's high school maybe a little bit too late, although we have several. Right now we have dual enrollment with 33 high schools in Westchester. They get high school credit and college credit at the same time. They can take that college credit to any college they go to on a transcript. We have 2 programs with Roosevelt and Gorton High School in Yonkers, where we are educating them at the college level in high school. All the programs like that, like TRIO and whatever, show that people are capable of learning and doing very well, but they have to have the extra attention and special attention. If they don't have it, it doesn't work. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm interested in programs you might have for people who are significantly, have significant special ed problems, including psychiatric problems.
We have long had programs for the developmentally disabled, which would include a large part of that population that you're indicating. It's very satisfying to see people rise to their highest level when expectations are there and when resources are devoted. So we have, you can well imagine, of the 35,900 students, we have a good slice of society from Westchester. We get quite a few students, including those with mental problems. Some of the faculty claim that there's more than they accounted for.
Are there particular, is there a particular program, remedial program?
Oh yeah, there are remedial programs like an academic support center, tutoring in a variety of subjects. The State University of New York is right now threatening to eliminate state aid for some of those programs. First they eliminated aid for senior citizen programs, then they eliminated aid for non-credit vocational programs such as we co-sponsor with BOCES. Now they're talking about possibly eliminating developmental remedial education because the State University of New York alone spends $70 million a year in remediation. And the theory among some of the legislators in Albany is that they should have learned it in high school, we're not going to pay for it again. So in Connecticut what they've done is they allow one single course. Now students have multiple remediation needs, math, English, reading. If they're limited to one single course, they're not going to make it. And unfortunately that's what's happening. Louis?
Again, I don't want to bypass the point that you made. I think it's a phenomenal thing that you said, and I think it needs an asterisk about the programs you have at WCC with high school students going to college. I purposely add Fordham University to give me courses in the weekend and at night. And the reason I do that is because I take 5 or 6 high school students, half of them with a history of special ed, they're in a college environment, and all of a sudden, any infliction on special ed, or they can't learn, or they're slow, or they need remediation, totally disappears, They engage, they love it. It's this college, they say. They even do the homework they're not required to do it. They do the paper, they travel, they talk in the classroom, and I think that is something that's missing. And it's unofficial. I mean, they don't get credit for this. They just come with you. But I think what you do and what you're doing is something that is highly understated, and I applaud you immensely, because a lot of this stereotype is just a myth. And they can perform. They are performing. They go on to colleges where they said they weren't even thinking of.
We view ourselves as an opportunity college. The valedictorian this year's class, 3 years ago, came to America not speaking a word of English. She was the #1 student in the class when she got finished. And she's going on to, I think she made Cornell. Yes.
We go back 35 years ago.
A long time.
I was director of admissions at Mercy College, which is kind of the private equivalent to Westchester. It was a private college that was, like Westchester, willing to serve a diverse population. And since I've been at Mercy for the last 55 years, I've been at the Mamaroneck Festival as a counselor, and I've seen firsthand what you and the community of Westchester has done. Echo Lucian, thank you. The other trend that bothers me a little bit is we need more of Westchester's philosophy throughout the system. I find that the private colleges and the public colleges, the successful year is based on how many students they decline. The boards seem to be obsessed with the average SAT scores of their incoming class, of their acceptance rate. And your trend, the other trend of not being so accessible.
As a matter of public policy, we have to be accessible, we have to give opportunity, we have to do the things I've been saying. I've been saying that at Westchester for the last 41 years. I've been a president for 45 and a half years, because I preceding coming to Westchester, I was president of another college in Maryland, which also had an open door admissions policy. And you know, we want to make sure the open door is not a revolving door.
Right.
And we have to provide those resources to enable people to succeed.
But I think there's been much more pressure for you to handle that than the rest of the state system.
That's true. That's true. But nowadays, they'll take anybody that can afford tuition. A lot of the colleges. Yes.
Has there been or is there involvement corporations, companies who say that people seem not to do their jobs, and these corporations or companies say, well, we can't get people with the right qualifications, with the right skill. They come in and working with you, develop the skills that they're looking for people when they say they have these openings.
Yes. I get people who say, people come to us with MBAs and they can't read or write. I get that complaint from businessmen all the time.
Are they coming in with money, or are they coming in with
modest amounts of money?
I mean,
We just
because you
applied this
feed
past
them-
week for
you feed
3
them
grants,
what
one
they
for
need.
$4,400, one for $17,000, and one for $60,000 to help corporations. In particular, IBM is one of them. Yes.
I would like to address the fact that when you talked about starting earlier, going back to middle school or whatever, I think that the trend to try to start worrying about reading earlier and earlier is leaving a hell of a lot more kids behind than it is pushing kids ahead. When are we going to figure out there are children who are never really going to be good readers, but they're good thinkers, and they have other skills that we need now. Now we go back, and when they've been defeated long enough, then we open it up to some other, what we call, BOCES or whatever, and we open it up to something else that they can do, and discover that these kids had those talents since they were in school. And I say that it's time that we start looking at other skills that kids have besides reading and writing.
You're absolutely correct. Howard Gardner, a friend of mine at Harvard, has written a book on multiple intelligences. I mean, if you lift the hood of any car out there in the parking lot, and I look inside, it's like spaghetti to me. I am disadvantaged as far as technical things are concerned, but I do well in English and math. We tend to measure that more than the other intelligences which you're referring to. We need to spend more time and attention on that. Yes?
Can you tell us a little bit about the Educational Opportunity Center, which I think is, kind of a vocational training program? Is that part of the campus, or is that a separate
It's
entity?
a separate $4 million grant from the state of New York for us to, and we've had it for 40 years. Hasn't always been $4 million, but it's built up to $4 million. It's free tuition, free books for disadvantaged individuals, and the success rate has been very high in terms, again, when you focus the attention of a program on a given group, you get good results. It's located at 2026 South Broadway, so people can walk from, through Getty Square to the facility. We share a facility with the health department of Westchester County in that building, and it's been a successful program. The question was, for undocumented students, what do they pay? First of all, we don't ask and we don't tell. We don't know for sure. Secondly, if in New York State they've attended high school for 2 years and have a diploma or a GED diploma, high school equivalency diploma, they can pay the same tuition as anybody else who's a resident of the county. That's officially on the books, but there are lots of other students who may be attending and we have not checked. And someday we may have to check. The government will get on our backs. But
is there any financial aid available to that?
Not to undocumented, no, unfortunately not. The foundation, our foundation gives about $1 million, $1.25 million in scholarship help during the course of the year, but that's a drop in the bucket.
And that can go to...
But I will tell you that I mentioned already that we had 45,000 students taking English as a second language, and we have lots of other students taking courses. 27.5% of our student body is consists of people who were born in another country. So we have a huge need, and I think society will waste that resource if it doesn't pay attention to helping them get more education, starting at an early age. Judy.
Yeah, can you just talk a little bit more about the role of the foundation and what it is and how important it is?
Sure. The foundation is a board of 55 people like yourselves. That's why I was impressed when we went around the room, who help us raise money for a variety of causes. Scholarship, number one, but even buildings for that matter. It has helped to relieve Westchester County of the need to spend as much as $9 million on the Gateway building. The library addition was paid for in part by private contributions, donors. It encourages us to get into fields. We just had a meeting yesterday, for example, where we're talking about, well, what do we do next now that we have the Gateway building? It's the private fundraising arm of the institution. We've had some very generous gifts, believe me. Yes?
Is there any connection with corporate entities coming aboard, offering internships and encouragement of that sort? There was a great program on recently about the wineries that come from the colleges at the community college in California, and it made you think through
There's an article in the paper this week.
Walla Walla. I thought, yes. In terms of the kind of economies that are in and around Westchester and the kind of corporate help.
We have 60 different programs. Every one of them has an advisory committee consisting of people from the industry and the business itself. And they help us guide, they help tell us what they're looking for in employees and what kind of equipment and so on. So we do a lot of that. The nature of a community college is that it reflects the local community needs. So in Walla Walla, while they have a vintners program, They wouldn't have that in Tyler, Texas, which is the rose capital of America, and oil petroleum curriculum as well. But Walla Walla wouldn't have those either. So that's the whole idea. So we do a lot with the biotech companies like Regeneron and so on here in Westchester County.
Culinary Institute, you get a lot of students.
We have a culinary program, and we do, and same thing with fashion industry, with FIT. We have a lot of connections with the fashion industry in New York City through our affiliation with SUNY and Fashion Institute of Technology.
But what kind of program do you have to encourage more corporate help?
Well, I'm constantly out speaking to companies
Are they on your board, any of them on your board?
No, not on the governing board, unfortunately, but more so on the foundation board. Yes.
I'm sorry for coming in late.
That's no
I was
problem.
reading without my glasses. I don't know why I think I can do that. What's the relationship between male and female students?
When I came, 1/3 of the student body was female. Today it's 56%.
More females than
More
males.
females than males. It was that way in America until 1974, whereas more women graduated from high school than men every single year of the preceding century. They didn't go on to college in equal numbers until 1974 in 2-year colleges and 1976 in 4-year colleges.
But are the females going into the sciences?
Unfortunately not. They're going into traditional occupations. We keep trying to encourage it, but STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math professions are lacking females. We're lacking a lot of males too, by the way. A lot of minority students as well. Have we exhausted the questions?
What is your experience with students from Larchmont and Mamaroneck?
Those students usually do very, very well in our place. We keep track records for all the high schools in the county. And I would have to say that Mamaroneck does extremely well, Larchmont, Mamaroneck area.
Can you talk about the change? I know I've seen the fact that we've had a greater number of
Yes.
students. Can you speak to that?
I mean, we still suffer a little bit from 2 is less than 4 mentality. People feel 2-year colleges can't be as good as 4-year colleges. The truth of the matter is, depends on the student and the program and so on. But whereas students used to say when asked where they're going, if they went to Westchester Community College, we've overcome a lot of that, partly because of the finances. I mean, a family can save $50,000 to $100,000 a year, or a year or two, depending on which college they would like to go to. But the change in the student body has been evident. I notice we have a lot more students. By the way, every single college in Westchester depends on our students, because by the junior year, people have dropped out of other institutions and they need to fill in to make their cost per student lower. So they're very anxious and eager to get our students to transfer to them. And they do very well when they do that. You know, it's sometimes embarrassing. Iona gives 9 awards at graduation. Our graduates win 6 of them. You know, that sort of thing. Yeah.
We send about 30 to 35 graduating seniors to Westchester just about every year. And that number is pretty consistent. And it's also the largest.
What we don't do is we probably don't give you the feedback on how well they do. That is a goal of mine, to try to do that, because I think it would be helpful to high school guidance communities to know how well their students do. Yeah.
We do have, our high school do have some of the demographics of the kids who do retain.
Good.
Because of the fact that it's, as you indicated earlier, economically it's harder. Some of the other schools, even some of the SUNY schools, have upped their bar, i.e. like New Falls, SUNY Purchase, you know, to the fact that it's harder to get in. All right, so therefore they'll stay and go to Westchester and then go on. My daughter was one of them who ended up going off to Dominican and graduated from Dominican College. So they do stay. I think there is a demographic that a lot of our students from Mamaroneck retain and stay to get their degree.
That's right. Great. Yes, back there.
What, in the years that you've been there, what's the biggest change that you've witnessed in education?
I guess the complexion of the student body is the biggest in terms of we set out to increase access. When I interviewed with the board of trustees in June of 1971, I said to them, you have a barbed wire fence running around this campus. That's a symbol to the community. It has to come down. I gave them 32 things that needed to be done. We've done most of those at this point in time. Some of them are continuing goals, for example, getting out closer to where people are, where they live, to bring education to them. So that I would have to say that's probably the biggest. It's helped us to diversify the student body tremendously. Well, if there are no other questions, I will turn this back to Legislator Myers.
Elaine had to leave early, so she asked me to wrap up, but we actually have another 15 minutes. I don't know if anybody has anything that they would like to bring up and discuss. Otherwise, we can just finish eating our breakfast. Yes?
It may have already been stated and I missed it. I would like to know, in terms of all the federal cutbacks, how much federal money is involved here. That to me is a hugely important issue as we look at education.
We have some federal grants, but very little. The federal government does not really impact higher education that much. Even the Pell grants, which the maximum I think was $5,500, used to cover about 70% of the students' costs, now covers about 30% of the students' costs. So the impact of the federal government is much less than the state government. Back
I
then.
have a related question. Probably not many. What about the benefits for the veterans of Afghanistan and Iraq? Are they coming in with federal grants?
Yeah, at its height, in the old GI Bill, we had 1,500 veterans on our student body. Now we have about 250 who have self-identified. We're still looking for more. They do bring in programs with them. Programs they, yeah. Okay.
Great. Are there any other questions? Then I believe our next meeting is scheduled. Today was out of order because of the holidays that are coming up. Our next meeting is...
The board is the 25th.
The board will meet on the 25th of September, and the next regularly scheduled summit meeting...
Yeah, is the third Tuesday of October.
Third Tuesday of October, which is October 16th.
And our subject, Harold?
The subject deals with, the subject for our next meeting is rather exciting, I think, given the various headlines affecting the post office. And the subject is our post office system essentially going out of business as we know it? We have an executive from there coming to talk to us about it. The post office has missed various funding requirements by the federal government. They've closed a number of offices that are being closed. So it's a very interesting situation.
Interesting indeed.
Thank you. So we will see you all again on October, what did we say? 16th, if there's nothing else. Enjoy. Oh, and also, just as a note, we did start out talking about September 11th and how we were all here. There will be a ceremony this evening at 5 o'clock at Memorial, at the Girl Scout area of the park across from Memorial Park near the train station. And Keith?
Tonight at the Kensico
And yeah, I was just going to, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And tonight there will be a very large Westchester County commemorative service or ceremony at Kensico Park that will honor all of the, and that is at 7 o'clock at Kensico. So, 5 o'clock train station, near the train station, across from Memorial Park, 7 o'clock at Kensico. Thank you all.
Thank you again. Thank you.